Welcome back to Behind the Joystick, the show where we dive into real stories behind people shaping the gaming and esports space. In this episode, we get to talk to Jenny Windom, aka Kimchica. We talk to her about her journey in gaming, how she's built her brand as Kimchica, the challenges she's faced along the way, and what keeps her inspired in an industry that is constantly evolving. Whether you're a creator, a gamer, or someone trying to find their place in the industry, this episode's for you. So enjoy.
So I'm Jenny Windom. I do a lot of things with indie games. Primarily my role is at Wholesome Games now. So we all kind of do a little bit of everything. My specialty is the influencer outreach and strategy, which is my favorite part because it's really just talking to very cool people about games that I like. So barely feels like a job, honestly. And I think right here for PAX, what I'm doing is helping represent the Fishbowl team because they are here with their booth at PAX Rising.
That's awesome.
And I'm also just, going around because I do content creation myself, just through the handle Kimchica and my game club Geeks and Grounds.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like just pulling your one-man show into all three different outlets.
Yeah,
for the
doing
entire
a little
weekend.
bit of everything this weekend. Yeah,
kind of starting to sweat a bit and be like, oh my gosh.
honestly, really, I have my laptop here because I'm squeezing in work in between all of the other stuff.
And you've got to be consistent throughout all of it because then if you drop off, then people are like, where is she? Is she okay?
Exactly, yeah.
And then
posting on Instagram still.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm here. That's awesome. So I guess in the beginning, how did Wholesome really start for you?
For me, so Matthew and James, who are the founders of the Twitter account that really began it all, we were mutuals online, and pretty shortly after they started the account, we were just we just met online, as so many people do in the game industry, and eventually it was actually at a PAX East. I had pitched a panel called "A Case for Cozy: Why Wholesome Games Matters," and I invited. I think I invited both of them, and James ended up being on the panel as well. And after that, everything shut down.
Wow.
And we were like, what do we do? And that's when the concept for Wholesome Direct came up. And so we did the showcase. And ever since then, I've been a part of the team. And just 2 years ago now, I think, we officially became a company where we're all 4 partners. And Victoria was added to the team. And before we became a company, and now we're 4 partners working together to not just do the events, but publish games as well.
Right. So then I guess that leads to Fishbowl. Are y'all publishing that?
Yeah,
or?
we're more like marketing partners for it.
Okay.
They are self-publishing, and we're just providing that support through our Wholesome Games Presents label.
Okay, nice. So then I guess what games have y'all published through Wholesome?
We've got, oh my gosh, this is a good pop quiz for me. So we have Usagi Shima, Make Room, Is the Seat Taken, Minami Lane, and then Fishbowl is on there as well, and we just announced Milky Delivery.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Now, you did mention at one point Wonderstop. What kind of was that affiliated with?
Yeah, so Wonderstop is developed by Ivy Road, and so I was hired on as part of one of the many hats that I have. I was hired on as the communications director for Ivy Road a couple years ago. And so the Wonderstop work was through Ivy Road.
That's awesome.
Which is a separate
Watching a bunch of the content, I saw Wonderstop and I was like, okay, how does this lead to this path? So that's awesome. Yeah. It's very cool. And then beginning before all your gaming stuff, you were a teacher or?
I was. Yeah, I taught middle school. I taught high school for a little bit, but my specialty was middle school. I love middle schoolers. I think they're so much fun. They have the quirkiness and sort of the lack of they're very self-conscious, but at the same time still able to be weird in themselves in a way that I think by high school it's calmed down a little bit, or at least is more sort of rounded, and it's very rough in middle school, but I found that so much fun.
Yeah, I have a middle schooler, and so I can definitely see the difference of she still wants to be I'm too cool, but then she's hey, look at this spark thing, and you're okay, cool, that makes sense.
The perfect age, and it's when you really see the start of who they really are becoming. And I also was super into I taught language arts, and I I really love YA books. I think they're so much fun to read. I think it's really fun to talk with kids about what they're reading. And so, yeah, it was just the perfect age to work with.
That's very cool. So then, like, how did that transition from like the middle school teaching to going into gaming, going into, what was it called? It starts with a U. Umbi?
Oh, Utomic.
Utomic,
oh my gosh, what a throwback. That's incredible. Good research.
Thank you, I tried.
Yeah, my goodness. So I was just creating YouTube videos as a side hobby, partially to learn some video editing, partially because I wanted to bring games into the classroom more. And I was doing that with Minecraft, but I felt like a lot of games that I loved had these really great narrative ties that we could bring into like media literacy and literary analysis, video game analysis.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I was like, well, let me post videos on YouTube. And Utomic, which was a company that now does not exist, I think. I don't think is there anymore. They saw my content and reached out and essentially said, would you like part-time work? And as a teacher in the US, I said yes.
Yeah.
Because
teaching in
don't
America.
make very much money in the US. And so I was doing part-time work on top of teaching, and eventually they offered me a full-time job as a community manager, content creator, and like sort of in-house representative for their company.
Okay.
And so I said, yes, absolutely. Let me give this video game thing 1 year. I'm going to try it for a year. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. I still can go back to the classroom.
Right.
And it worked out really
awesome.
well. So
Yes.
yeah, ever since then, I've been in the game industry and I miss teaching, but I think I've been able to find other ways to bring my teaching like goals into games and like still do what I think is impactful work.
No, for sure. I would say that would be leading to the demos you do on your personal content.
Yeah.
Like you'll have like these one-on-one sessions where you're trying out different demos, like Spilled. I believe you tried that one out before. And then recently, through your Geeks and Grounds, you did a podcast with the VTuber, and y'all were talking about Kenneth.
Oh, you're Katie?
Yes.
From Katie and Catburger, and we were deep diving Kentucky Route Zero.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's exactly what I had hoped to do in the classroom and what I'm hoping to do now with not middle school, adults.
Right.
Where
We're all deep down middle schoolers.
Exactly. We're all middle schoolers at heart. Who's really grown out of that phase?
Right.
But I hope to create a space where, and a lot of other people are doing this, which is so cool to see, but at least one additional space where people can come in, play games, have a really good time, but also show that like academic work, critical thinking isn't intimidating. Mm-hmm. It's really approachable, and it's best done with other people because then you get those additional perspectives. And so yeah, I think some of my favorite episodes, I think, were the ones with Katie because she also is just such an insightful person, and it was just so much fun talking with her. I told her afterwards, I was like, this felt like a slumber party. Where it's just
absolutely.
Like, we were kind of just like having fun by the end of it and not wanting to stop talking.
Watching it looked like, because that one, it was very like lengthy.
Yes.
Because of the talking. And I mean, you put two girls in a session, they're going to talk.
Yeah.
But like, it was so detailed on what parts of the game that y'all were like talking about. And then even jumping into like the Discord, and if people had questions, no one was like, why would you say something like that? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Like everyone's very welcoming and wanting you to learn the same processes as everyone else.
Yeah, I think it can get really intimidating to go into a group of people and like say your opinions on something.
Yeah.
Even if you're like confident in your own opinion, especially online and especially in games, I feel like there is the perception, which isn't necessarily incorrect, that gamers can be like not very nice to people who have opposing viewpoints.
No.
And so what I really try to do and what I love about the Geeks and Grounds community is everyone's super welcoming, really inviting of like, hey, what did you think about this? And here's like something that reminded me of the game in real life. And so very just like approachable, approachable strategies for building your like literary skills or analysis skills.
That's awesome. Now, with Geeks and Grounds, was it before Wholesome or was it after Wholesome? How did that Geeks and Grounds come up?
A little bit of both. So Geeks and Grounds is a project that I conceptualized probably back in like 2016, almost a decade ago. And I had started it with a friend because I was in my original planning. I was like, I don't want to do this I don't want to do a solo podcast or a solo project. And so I started with my friend, but then he's not in games, and he got quite busy. And so we were like, okay, let's do it, later. A couple years ago, maybe 4 years now, I said, I think this is so important. I want to find a way to do it. I invited him back, and we like reformatted the club. And we were able to do it basically since then. So it was like both before and after Wholesome Games.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw that there was like a dip into it, and then now you've been bringing more creators into the spotlight too. I also saw backlogs in your sessions about Final Fantasy.
Oh my gosh.
I thought was so good. I was like, all my housework got done because I was so listening to y'all's podcast plus listening to like trying to do my chores at the same time. I was like, wait a minute, what did they say about Final Fantasy?
Yes.
Who did they say about it? But yeah, it's very cool to see like the different outlets that have been like coming to form into like one, and then like everyone that goes, oh, Jenny knows. Kimchica knows. You need to go ask her. You need to ask those questions. And it's very inspiring to see like what you've brought to like the indie side of gaming pretty much, especially the cozy side. Because, sometimes everyone's all like, just Animal Crossing. And you're like, I've got 5 of these games. Do you want to try these ones? These are great. So it's very cool.
Yeah, I really ultimately my goal is to make gaming feel approachable to everybody. Because I think regardless of your background or any experiences that you've had, I think if you want to play games, you should feel like you can. Yeah. And that there is a game for everybody at any level of skill or interest. And I just want people to find the game that like really clicks with them. And I also, in addition to making it approachable, I just want to create spaces where we can also then think thoughtfully about games.
No, for sure.
Yeah, it's neat to see all the ways that what I do has kind of combined for that.
Right. It's kind of also like for PAX East that we're at now. Yesterday you had the community management side of a panel, and like, how does that process go through? Like, is that like the end goal for you, or is there like more?
Yeah, like moderating panels.
Yeah.
I love hosting. I love moderating. I think facilitating discussions is something I really enjoy. I don't necessarily think it's the end goal. I think it kind of is in the sense where I want to create formats and templates for people to feel like they can take and run with their friends and with their communities. Like Geeks and Grounds is one example where I'm like, I have Geeks and Grounds. My dream is like, let's have a local chapter of Geeks and Grounds, in every city. Let's have like local groups that want to like take the template of what I'm doing and follow along, but like make it scalable, right?
Right.
So I think in a way, maybe it is kind of the end goal now that you're asking, but maybe not that niche. Like I don't necessarily want to moderate panels forever.
No,
but
for sure.
Definitely facilitating that.
Yeah, I feel like more of like what you're excited about, at least like from seeing from right here, is that you love bringing more people together instead of what I can show for. Because you want to raise people up, and you're like, you want to be a host? Got it, say less. You want to be a co-host? Here, let's do this. Like, it's not just get out of the way, it's my spotlight. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like that, so.
Well, and it's like, I think that's a really good point that you bring up. Like with Wholesome Games, like I think I am the face essentially right now of Wholesome Games, and that is really good, and I do love it. I love being on camera. I love hosting. I love doing that. But at the same time, I don't know. I just feel like I'm always aware that I'm not permanent. This is like so deep, but it's I am just one person, and there are so many other people who provide representation into different facets of this very big subculture of like wholesome and cozy games. And I want to make sure everyone gets their chance to shine, and I think there are a lot of people doing really good work, and the only way we can progress as an industry, the only way we can progress as a medium is that we need to provide those spaces for everyone to shine.
For sure.
Whether it be content creators or developers or anything like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, throwing this now back into, I have ADHD, so just throwing it at a curveball. So going from content creation, Geeks and Ground, Wholesome, community management, and everything else that you do in between, how do you like stop burnout?
You know, that's a really good question, because I think I never want anyone to look at like what I do or my output and be like, oh my God, like Jenny's grinding so hard, and I should do that too, because I actually am not. I think there was a point where I was like putting in too many hours and all of that.
Last week you posted a video every single day
I
on
did.
YouTube. And I was like, she's grinding. All right, she's back.
And
she's
that's
doing
the
something.
thing. What I really like, it's hard because I think what I have done in my time is create really good systems for myself. And so I think what's really tough, especially if you're either newer to it or maybe like editing videos isn't your skill set. And so you're like, I'm much slower at this than other people, or I don't know, for any reason, I think if you see anyone grinding, you shouldn't grind yourself, because that's not good. And I think behind the scenes, what's helped me is, number one, I have a partner who is not in games, and he has done a really good job of making sure that like, if I am not present essentially as a person in our house, he lets me know.
That's good.
And I think having either a partner or a friend or someone in your life that can like kind of let you know when you've become more absent, really important.
Yeah.
At least for me, I need that external feedback.
Right, someone to just tell you to slow down a little.
Yeah, because I do have a focus mentality where if I get into a project or I get into something, I can like work for a very long time without feeling anything, like tired or anything. So having accountability to other people is really important. And then having systems and templates, and for me, structure. I have a very organized calendar.
That's awesome.
Typically. This week, my calendar, time zones make me kind of like, oh God.
Yep.
But normally, during a normal work week, my schedule is like pretty planned out, and I try to keep really consistent, because if I can keep the habit, for me, that works out great. And then, I have templates, I have systems, I've created so many videos multiple times that I know the most efficient way to get through it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that comes with practice.
Oh, no,
so
for sure.
I think I would definitely, do not grind. I don't grind. I do not work weekends.
Yeah.
That's my strict rule. I don't work
Sundays
weekends.
are my off days.
Exactly. At 10 p.m. now, and this is a new rule, but in the last like 2 years, at 10 p.m., I don't work after 10 p.m. unless very rare exceptions, like if I have a client meeting like across, time zones. Sometimes that doesn't work out, but like 10 p.m., I'm done.
Yeah.
No more work. Like I can't touch basically anything electronic.
Yeah, right.
And for me, having that structure is like what really helps.
That's awesome. Now for people, because I know we're getting like almost there, not there, and like watching the time and stuff. Okay, so like for college students or someone who's like ready for a new career path, how would you like suggest for them to want to come into like the gaming space as anything, a community manager, going into Wholesome, like something in that space?
Yeah, I think having clear goals of what you want to do is really important. So I don't think it's enough to say like, I want to be in games.
Yeah.
I think at a certain point you have to decide like, do I want to do audio for games? Do I want to animate? Do I want to write? Do I want to create content?
Yeah.
So number one is actually identify a goal, and then know that your goal can change. I am probably a great case study in this, where I have done so many different things over my time in the industry, and I am very willing to pivot, because my goal, in addition to like, I want to create content, ultimately I'm like, whatever I do, I want to create approachable spaces for people to come into games.
Yeah.
And for me, that goal, like I can make anything sort of fit within that. I would also say, because the industry is in a really precarious state right now, and this may be depending on, your mileage may vary, but I feel like having security in a job that is not in games, and then doing something part-time to establish yourself so that the pressure isn't that you have to make a viral success of a game, you don't have to blow up as a creator. Not having that pressure can change so much. And so I think being able to say, I have my stable job that allows me to have an income consistently, maybe even to get health care, and let me grow whatever I'm doing in the game industry kind of on a side and on top of that, I think is the safest choice to make. I also understand it is harder because it will require you to put in time on top of your work. And so I think it's not going to be easy at this point. Games is, I was reading an article about this actually from, what is it? It's this, Into Games, I think is the charity from the UK. They put out a report talking about how games industry as a whole is one of the most socially immobile industries, meaning the people who are in the industry often are very privileged. They have a lot of financial success, they have connections, they have the things that allow them to be in it. So if you are coming from either a place that's not connected to games, you don't know anyone, you don't have financial security, it's undeniable, you're going to be having a harder time coming into the industry than not. So I think understanding that for better, or worse, the odds are kind of against you and you do have to be strategic, I think is just really important. I don't want to be depressing.
No,
I think
you're actually the first person who's said, you need to find stability first and then chase your goals, because if anyone's watched it from the first one to now, every single person I've interviewed has a job and are in the gaming industry. Because they need that. You need the security for sure.
You do. And right now, I'm hoping it shifts and pivots and there's more stability in the industry so people can come in as interns and people can come in as juniors, but that's not established right now. And so I think dropping everything to get into an industry that will not protect you is just, for me, that would stress me out immensely.
Oh, absolutely.
It does stress me out immensely.
No, just thinking about it, it's like I couldn't go unemployed for 8 more months again and try to do this at the same time.
Exactly. And so I think, and to preserve your love of something, I think making sure that you are doing it part-time can help you understand the realities of what it takes. And if you're actually, I'm okay taking some of these risks, then that's a different story and you can take the risks. But I think, again, dipping your toes in is maybe the wisest choice, because I've seen a fair number of people, especially in the content creation and journalism side, kind of dive in head first, which for a very small handful that works out. But for the majority, I feel like it does not pan out and they're left kind of scrambling. And so I'm an advocate of have a day job, build structures and templates, systems on top of that, and then slowly transition.
That's awesome. Now, what advice would you have for yourself going into the gaming space? Your younger self.
Oh my gosh, my younger self. I would say be okay, especially as a content creator. I feel like I stop myself from, even now, I'm actually still working on this. Don't let perfectionism stop you from actually doing the thing. It's probably the biggest advice that I still need to give to myself, because a lot of times, there have been many times where I have had content, I still have longer video essays I'm working on, and I often am the person who will let perfectionism stop me from doing the thing. And there's so many things I wish I did, because later someone else did something very similar, and I was like, oh, I could have done that. I had that, and I should have just gone with it. And so I think for myself and for everyone watching, I would say don't be a perfectionist, especially now. Life is short. Just do the thing.
Just do the thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so now where can everyone find you at the end of this episode?
Folks can find my personal work On Instagram at Jenny Windom, or everywhere else at Kimchica, Kimchica. And, that's YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, all of that. Folks can find my work with Wholesome Games at wholesomegames.com. That's where you can find all the links to our newsletter, socials, all of that good stuff. And then Geeks and Grounds is geeksandgrounds.com if you're also wanting to join a video game discussion club.
Yes, and we will put everything also in the descriptions or in the show notes too. And thank you again for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's always such a pleasure.
It's awesome. And then I'll see you guys Friday. Bye.
Bye.